Kaden Proctor, though, I want to really quickly talk about.
Okay, let's talk about him before we get this.
This is going to be really weird. I mean, he's projected right now to end up at Iowa. And for anyone who doesn't know anything about Kadyn Proctor, he's from Iowa. He was originally committed to Iowa. And I think if it wasn't for that late push, he would have ended up at Iowa. So for him to go to Iowa, I'm not going to be shocked. I really wouldn't be. I would hope somebody competitive makes a run at him and he stays in the SEC, because it feels like wasted talent that he's just going to be down blocking the whole season and they're not actually going to have him doing any pass sets or anything. But Iowa's put out some good offensive linemen into the NFL. He is a very physically gifted player. He kicked the shit out of Michael Williams in the SEC championship game. So whoever can get him, come to the table with some bread and maybe try to convince him.
So he, like you said, it's already, people have crystal balls out for him to go back home to Iowa. Here's what I'd say to that. Number one, why? And then number two, Joe, you know that there's still technically a search, if I'm not mistaken, for the Iowa OC job.
Make Kaden Proctor the OC.
I mean, it is so dormant that they don't even have an OC. We're talking about all these. Joe, think about this. This is how bad Iowa is on offense. You ready? Nick Saban retired and Kalen DeBoer became the next head coach of Alabama before Iowa could find somebody who would want to go coach that offense.
I don't know if it was that. I think that that Kirk Ferentz is just a slow moving individual. I think that is. I think that's more around.
Then you know what? Firing.
Hey man, he's going through a lot. He just said to fire his son, basically, and now he's got to.
Is everything in Iowa just bland? You know,
they should hire Scott Frost. I really think that's who they should go after.
You're making fun of that, but
I'm not. No, that's a serious take.
Yeah, I'd go after Scott Frost in a heartbeat.
He's a smart OC. He's a good player. He was the OC at Oregon before he ended up taking the UCF job. I would hire him.
Championship winning coach.
Yeah, sure. Was he the UCF?
He was the head coach at UCF. Remember?
That was the year that they made up.
When they had like Shaquille Griffin, the guy with the one hand. You don't remember that team? That team was like they claimed a national.
Oh, I remember, and I remember they played LSU in a bowl game and all that stuff. And
that was the year after. That was the year after. They beat Auburn in the bowl game, but the next year LSU under Josh Heupel. Believe it or not, Josh Heupel was the head coach for that year.
Yeah,
that's when Heisman Burrow was activated when he got hit on that blind side. I do. If I had a conversation with a kid, I would tell him to call Tennessee. I'd tell him to call Ohio State. I'd tell him to call Ole Miss. I'd tell him to call Florida, all before he made his way back to Iowa. Mainly due to the fact, Joe, is that he could become a top 10 pick because of his talent if he goes to those places. I think that there's always going to be question marks around him if he goes to Iowa. Okay. I just think
I was put out the one position group, the two position groups that they've actually
let me finish, but okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, finish. I was gonna say there will always be question marks on him, because if that offense is that bad, what do you really make of a guy when an offense is that bad? It's like, Joe, when you see really good athletes on a really bad defense, why don't they go in the top 10? Why? Because they're surrounded by ass.
I don't totally 100% agree with that take, but I will say he should want to have the competitive spirit to want to. Him running to go, stay at home is kind of lame in my opinion. He should want to go to a Florida State. Like Florida State's another one that I would put into the equation that could use a little bit of offensive line bolstering. I mean, shit, we're about to even talk about Louisville. Louisville would be a really exciting possible landing spot.
Would be exciting, right? I agree. Kentucky.
Colorado was somebody commented on one of my posts about him, but I don't think that they've got enough money to.
They can barely pay a guy like him.
BetOnline remains your top spot for all of your live betting action and contests. NFL, college football, UFC, NHL are all in full swing. BetOnline is your number one source for wagering news, odds, trends, and predictions with both desktop and mobile access at any time. Head to BetOnline today and use promo code BELIEVE. That's BLEAV for 50% off your first deposit. That is a 50% welcome bonus. BetOnline, where the game starts.